All right, so we have the criminal complaint with the state of Wisconsin, which is the plaintiff versus Brooks Darrell Edward Jr. I'm positive he has no issues with that one there. Address 4014 North 19th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 53209. Date of birth February the 21st, 1982. This was filed on November the 5th, 2021. The below named complainant, being duly sworn on information and belief, states that Count 1, obstructing an officer. The above named defendant, on or about Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2021, at 7311 West Capitol Drive in the city of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, did knowingly obstruct an officer while such officer was doing an act in an official capacity and with lawful authority, contrary to section 946.41, subsection 1, 939.51, subsection 3, subsection A, Wisconsin, I guess that's stats, I don't know. Upon conviction for this offense, a Class A misdemeanor, the defendant may be fined not more than $10,000, and then in parentheses it says $10,000 again, or in prison not more than 9 months or both. Count 2, bail jumping, which is a felony. The above named defendant, on or about Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2021, at 7311 West Capitol Drive in the city of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, having been charged with a felony and released from custody under Chapter 969 of the Wisconsin statutes. That's what it is, the statutes. Dang. Did intentionally fail to comply with the terms of his bond, contrary to section 946.49, subsection 1, subsection B, 939.50, subsection 3, subsection H, Wisconsin statutes. Upon conviction for this offense, a Class H felony, the defendant may be fined not more than $10,000. Why do they put the number form in parentheses? Just in case you don't know what the written form is. Or in prison not more than 6 years or both. Do we vote? Can we say just for both? I don't understand. Count 3, second degree recklessly endangering safety, domestic abuse assessments. The above named defendant, on or about Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2021, at 7311 West Capitol Drive in the city of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, did recklessly endanger the safety of EAP, contrary to section 941.30, subsection 2, 939.50, subsection 3, subsection G, 973.055, subsection 1 Wisconsin statutes. Upon conviction for this offense, a Class G felony, the defendant may be fined not more than $25,000, or in prison not more than 10 years or both. As further invoking the provisions of section 973.055, subsection 1, with Wisconsin statutes, because this charge is an act of domestic abuse, this court shall impose the domestic abuse assessment of $100 for this offense, because this charge is an enumerated crime under section 973.055, subsection 1, subsection A1, Wisconsin statutes, and the conduct constituting the violation involved in act by the defendant against his or her spouse, against an adult with whom the defendant resides or formerly resided, or against an adult with whom the defendant has created a child. Count 4, disorderly conduct, domestic abuse assessments. The above named defendant, on or about Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2021, at 7311 West Capitol Drive in the city of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, while in a public place, did engage in violent conduct under circumstances in which such conduct tended to cause a disturbance, contrary to section 947.01, subsection 1, 939.51, subsection 3, subsection B, 973.55, subsection 1, Wisconsin statutes. Upon conviction for this offense, a Class B misdemeanor, the defendant may be fined not more than $1,000 or imprisoned not more than 90 days or both. And further invoking the provisions of Section 973.0551 Wisconsin statutes, because this charge is an act of domestic abuse, this court shall impose the domestic abuse assessment of $100 for this offense because this charge is an enumerated crime under Section 973.55 subsection 1, subsection A1 Wisconsin statutes, and the conduct constituting the violation involved an act by the defendant against his or her spouse, against an adult with whom the defendant resides or formerly resided, or against an adult with whom the defendant has created a child. Count 5, misdemeanor battery domestic abuse assessments. The above named defendant, on or about Tuesday, November the 2nd, 2021 at 7311 West Capitol Drive in the city of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, did cause bodily harm to EAP by an act done with intent to cause bodily harm to that person without that person's consent, contrary to Section 940.19, subsection 1, 939.51, subsection 3, subsection A, 973.055, subsection 1 Wisconsin statutes. Upon conviction for this offense, a Class A misdemeanor, the defendant may be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 9 months or both. And further invoking the provisions of Section 973.055, subsection 1 Wisconsin statutes, because this charge is an act of domestic abuse, the court shall impose a domestic abuse assessment of $100 for this offense because this charge is an enumerated crime under Section 973.055, subsection 1, subsection A1, Wisconsin statutes, and the conduct constituting the violation involved in act by the defendant against his or her spouse, against an adult with whom the defendant resides or formerly resided, or against an adult with whom the defendant has created a child. Probable cause. Complainant is a law enforcement officer employed by the Milwaukee Police Department. Complainant bases this complaint on information and belief and on official police reports prepared by fellow Milwaukee police officers, which are of the kind complainant has used in the past and found to be truthful and reliable, and which complainant knows are prepared in the ordinary and regular course of police business. On November 2, 2021, Officer Rodriguez and Gallegos were dispatched to 7311 West Capitol Drive, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Interview with EAP was birth date was 10/7/90. EAP reported that EAP have a child in common. EAP reported she was staying at the American Inn and heard a knock at the door. EAP reported that she observed the defendant, Darrell Brooks, birth date 2/21/82, outside of the door. EAP reported that Brooks was yelling and using profanity at EAP as EAP tried to walk past him. EAP reported that Brooks snatched her phone out of her hand. EAP reported that Brooks got into his vehicle and drove off. EAP reported that she was walking westbound on the West Appleton Street to the BP gas station at 7311 West Capitol Drive. EAP reported that Brooks followed EAP there and pulled up beside EAP and told EAP to get into the vehicle. EAP refused to get into the vehicle, and Brooks intentionally and without consent struck EAP in the face with a closed fist. EAP walked away from Brooks. EAP reported that Brooks then intentionally and without consent ran EAP over with his vehicle while EAP was walking through the parking lot of the BP gas station. Arrest of Brooks. Officers changed locations to 4014 North 19th Street, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Officers Newport and Harahan also reported at 4:25 p.m. Officers approached the residence and observed Brooks' vehicle, 2010 maroon Ford Escape, I guess that's the license plate, Wisconsin ADP 9256, parked on the rear slab. Officers observed Brooks exiting the driver's seat. Officers gave, I'm sorry, that driver's seat, aka his bedroom. Officers gave lawful commands to stop, and Brooks walked away. Officers commanded Brooks not to enter the residence. Brooks quickly ran into the residence and closed four. Who the hell got four doors on their house? Four doors on officers as officers were behind him and tried to apprehend him. Officer observations. Officers observed EAP to have swelling to her lip and dry blood on her face. Officers observed the tracks on her left pant leg. Hospital. EAP was taken to Freedhurt hospitals for her injuries. Felony bail jumping. A check with Wisconsin Circuit Court excess revealed that Brooks had an open case under Milwaukee 2020 CF2550. Brooks' conditions of bail state that he is not to have any contact with his mother, DW, who was at the location at the time of the arrest. Bail also states that Brooks is not to commit any new crimes. Notice during emergency operations, the state will be requesting the court to enter a no firearms order and no contact with EAP. Well, they already did that, but it didn't work. It didn't work. Well, this was the criminal complaints prepared by Michelle Grasso. We appreciate you, Michelle. This was a great read. I just wish that when it had happened, they had read it too and not let him out. But I guess that was asking for too much. And this was subscribed and sworn to before me on November the 5th, 2021. All right, y'all.